Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This video will be discussing example 4.16 from EDC's book by Mr. Boylestad. And here we'll be primarily discussing emitter follower circuit. So what is an emitter follower configuration? Earlier we had been taking output from the collector terminal. You can see this is the collector terminal. So output were taken from the collector terminal, but in this case we are going to take output from the emitter terminal, and that is why it is called emitter follower. The emitter follower taking the output from the emitter. Also note that the collector is grounded or common, therefore this has another name, and that is called the common collector circuit or the common collector configuration. Now, coming on to example 4.16, we have to determine two of the questions points, 2 point VCEQ and IEQ for this given network. Now, if you recall what is Q point, I am sure you must have learned it from the characteristics curve, which is plot between VCE and IC in this case. And then for every IB, we have a curve like this for IB0, then IB5. Now it's just compare with the building. This IB is like a first floor. So the 2 points, the VCE and IC, or IE in our case, would be called VCE1 and ICE1, just to show that they are linked with the first floor. Similarly, for the second floor, we can call it VC2, IC2, and for the qth floor, we can call it VCQ and ICQ. So these are the operating points for different IB level. Now, in our case, this is the given circuit. And as we have learned earlier, that for DC analysis, we remove the capacitor because for DC, the capacitor behaves like an open circuit. So our simplified circuit will look like this. And so we'll follow this circuit now. Now, for further simplification, I have drawn this negative battery with a proper battery symbol. So you can see that the negative of this battery is connected with the circuit because negative is connected with the circuit. And also what I have done is we have marked the polarity. Now you can see this current IB is going from ground to the top. And we know that wherever the current touches first, that terminal becomes positive. So this is positively marked. The polarity is marked positive. Similarly, here the current IE is coming from up to down. Therefore, it is touching this point first. We'll mark this as positive and this is negative. VCEQ is also IC coming from top to bottom. Therefore, it will be positive at the top and negative at the bottom. Now we'll take this loop first, try to find IB first of all, because IB, if we find, then we can find all the other parameters. So if you go from here, you can see it is positive IBRB, so positive IBRB by KVL method, and then we have plus VBE plus IERE and minus VEE. Now, we just want to find IB first, therefore we'll remove IE by this equivalence. IE is equal to beta plus 1 IB. So replacing IE, and then for the simplifying, we can find IB by this formula from here. And now we can plug in the values. VEE is 20 volt. VBE we know is 0.7 always, and the resistance values. And solving, we find IB current to be 45.73 microampere. So IB we have found. Now we'll find VCE. And for that, we'll take this route, the right branch, and coming from here 0, then VCE, then IERE, then minus VEE, and from here manipulating VCE, and we replace IE by IB by using this formula because we have already calculated IB. So replacing this and then putting in the values. VB is 90 from here, you can see, and all the other parameters we have calculated. Solving, we find VCE to be 11.68. And as I had mentioned that now we have an IB, so for our IB there has to be a Q point, and we will call it VCEQ and IEQ. Therefore, in our case, this VCE that we have calculated, we can name it as VCEQ, the operating point or the quotient point, Q for quotient point. So 11.68. And similarly, IE will use this formula. And plugging in the values, IE will be 4.16 milliampere. And in this case also, IE will call IEQ. So it is IEQ will be 4.16 milliampere. So these are the two parameters that is desired in this question. I hope you have been able to follow this. Please let me know through your feedback. Thank you.